Okay. All right. So first of all, hello. Really good to see all of you. So we were gonna just do this as an open chat thing and just have a chat and talk about where we're going and those sort of things. But we ended up thinking actually there's a couple of other things we can show you this week. So we're gonna do a bit of that. Um, I'm not expecting it to take the whole hour. It may end up being half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that. I don't know. But anyway, we kind of have some things to sort of show you. Also, just as a reminder for anybody who hasn't done the pre-order yet, remember it's cheaper doing the pre-order than waiting till release when the price goes up. So that's only obviously we're getting closer to the time for the summer release. So if any of you wonder what Elmer's doing, by the way, he's he's playing with his parrot, and that's a euphemism. Oh no, it isn't a euphemism. I'm sorry. That's so
Lovely,
so
lovely plumage.
yes, great plumage, my
Always
friend.
flip.
That's yeah. So I think that's enough about that. So remember, pre-order worth doing just to get the little extra off. We've also, I mean, just from a point of reference, really. I know there's probably some new people here who've never used Lightwave before. We've been getting more and more brand new users, which is lovely to see, and also a lot of users coming back to us from 2015 and before, which is really lovely to see. So hopefully the message is getting out there. What we're doing is good. So
What's the earliest one we've
um,
now, Juice, in terms of people who've come back from the dead?
Oh my goodness, I've upgraded someone from Lightwave 6.
Yeah, there we go.
been in a coma for 15 years. No, it's no, it's good, and it's yeah, sort of yeah, it's lovely to sort of see those people coming back and getting involved with the new Lightwave. So, okay, so I suppose a couple of things we wanted to show today. One is something that we specifically wanted for ourselves, so that when we're putting demo scenes together and things together, we could put up information on the nodes and sort of describe how that node works or describe how this feature works and how those sort of things are put together. And I don't know, Juice, if you want to go first and want to show that.
Sure.
It'd be really nice it's such a cool thing, and it's only at the very beginning. This is literally the first iteration of it, and it's still got a few other things to add in, but it is a really good I think it will be great for the user experience longer term. So yeah, sorry, Juice, I'm rabbiting.
That's okay. No. I'm actively trying to share a screen. There we go. So real fast, this is again, as Andy had made mention, this is early, but it's to a point where I can actually kind of show what we're looking at doing. I'll go into the Pro Geo, which is more than likely the more important. And boy, is my system just like all of a sudden everything's slow. All right, here, 1 second. Procedural geometry. There we go. I'm good. We're recovering. So here you can have in your node editor, one of the things that for new people to understand, or if heck, I'm in the same boat that I might have to reteach myself when I come back to a project, and that is to being able to have an ability to show where certain things are being done. So if we have multiple nodes open here, I can select these. Keyboard shortcuts Control F currently, and that's to put a frame around those nodes. Grabbing and dragging the frame enables me to move these around. Currently, this is where we are with it. But it's enough to get you to thinking about it. We'll be able to change these names. We'll be able to change the colors. And even if we wanted to add a frame on its own, we can write in these frames like a post-it note. So the idea being that you can highlight areas, you can make notes of what's happening in that area, you can use them to organize and see things around. So this is quite handy. And the ability too is that these are saved with presets. So when we save this as a preset, when it comes back, it'll have the frames and the colors and the notes and everything associated with it. So this is going to be a great way to break people into using nodes. This is node editor wide. So this is in the scene editor, this is in the displacement node editors, the instancing node editors, everywhere. So this is it's going to be very, very nice to be able to, to make notes and to teach people where things are going, and especially for sharing. If you share a node tree or share a scene, people will be able to pick this up. But anyway, I felt excited enough about it to show, because we can fit to a selected node, fit to any all. Again, I'm just showing that there's one. I can have multiple. But this is to me, it's exciting because it's going to be learning. It's going to be teaching people, and that's always the difficulty.
Actually, just a quick thing. I think I'm right in saying one of the things we'll be able to do in that, of course, is if we're putting a chain together that's only a part of a chain, we'll be able to put notes in there saying, actually, plug this into here to connect it to do the next part. And so we're better give real instructions on how to use the GeoNodes, which I think is a major step forward. It also means we can do, big chains and explain how it's working, but also bits of chains and explain how it's working, and even just explainers onto individual nodes where people might be wondering what the hell that does. So yes. It's obviously we've got weeks to go to the release, so getting as many done as perhaps we would like to do may not be possible for the summer release, but we will have some done. And obviously we'll be furthering that as we go on to Christmas release and so on. So it's I think a fantastic feature and going to be very useful, I think, to have in there.
Absolutely. I think anything that makes teaching and hey, I just had a recent birthday, and this is the whole thing of remembering how you did something.
Yeah, exactly.
How many times have you gone back to something you set up several months ago and you forgot where was it I did that? This is just own personal notes, if anything.
And part of the reason why that's been worked on is we did a little survey with a bunch of users, and on the survey it clearly showed that people wanted to use the GeoNodes but had no idea where to start. And so I suppose there's two things we kind of needed to sort out. One is presets, a methodology of putting presets together, demo scenes together, but also a way of marking them up. And I think those three approaches to the GeoNodes should start to make the GeoNodes significantly easier to use. And hopefully what we're hoping is obviously once we get a bunch of presets out there and notes added, frames added to the GeoNodes, you guys will take those further, create even more complex ones, send in those presets. We'll add the presets into the menu if you're okay with that. And the idea being, as a community, we start building that up to help all users on how to do things using the GeoNodes as it goes forward. So we obviously, this has just been our opening year and a bit, so we've had an awful lot of things we've had to do and an awful lot of things we're trying to do, and there's obviously quite a bit of things that are happening under the hood that will be announced over the coming months that we're working on as well. And so there's an awful lot more things we're planning to show you ongoing after this one, and but obviously 2024 at the moment is our main focus. So that's that. Shall I show my little thing? Why did I say
Oh
it
my
like that?
God! Why did you say it
My
that way?
God!
I'm going to
What
turn your
was
camera
that?
off, Andy.
Yeah. Okay, so first thing, I've got a few internet issues, so it might slow down. If it does, I'll drop out and come back in, but hopefully it will be okay. Okay, so let me start sharing my screen. My little thing. It's
Just so glad we don't have an
every
HR department.
every single time. Yeah, I know. What am I thinking? Okay, so okay, so I'm going to show what is currently up, but we're going to probably change the name to Flow. I think is currently what we're thinking of. Obviously, we've added this. Just a bit of background to this. So obviously, this came originally from Steve Hurley and did a fantastic job with it. And I think at the point where he did it, the graphic cards were considerably slower. The technology to drive this was slower, and really it kind of didn't go as far as he would have liked it to have gone, and you know, lots and lots of things. And then of course he stopped developing it. So we chatted to Steve. Obviously, Steve is helping us now across the board. So Steve's with us working on multiple things. This is one of those things, and we've already updated quite a bit of it. So it's now using OpenVDB for the skinning of particles into meshes, and we're currently just doing some more things to that library. So we think that's going to improve over the coming weeks, and then obviously over the coming months. There are things on the interface we're going to change, which we haven't yet had a chance to change, but I kind of wanted to show you today some of what its capability is. I only got this, I think, 2 days ago, Juice, I think, 2 days.
I believe that's it. Yeah.
About
And
2
then
days. So
you pretty much
so
didn't sleep.
yeah. So I have stayed up a few late nights having a play. You know, again, it's one of those things where you've got to, you know, as you learn things, you're taking notes of things. Or wouldn't it be nice if we could do this, and you know, those sort of things. So anyway, so basically, what we've got here is the unified physics plugin. It does fluid. It does melting of things. It's useful. Now, it isn't a replacement for something like RealFlow. So RealFlow does really in-depth, highly detailed fluid simulations, probably one of the best simulation types around, along with maybe Houdini. And but obviously the calculations for that are super slow, and they take a massive length of time, and it's an incredibly difficult interface to use. Part of the reason we wanted to get this was because it does small fluids really well. So it's really a small fluid generator, but it does other things as well, which is really cool. But it's also very fast. It's with the latest drivers in it, and some of the things we've updated in it, it updates really quickly. But of course, the other thing, like when we added turbulence and adding in the rigid, it means it's inside Lightwave's interface, and therefore you can have it interact with all the other things you're doing in an animation. So you're not having to go out to do these things. It's all going to be, you know, obviously included with Lightwave as standard. And again, we got it on the basis that we were developing it ongoing. And I think it's okay to say, Juice, publicly, Steve's obviously with us now for the long haul, and is helping us on a couple of things, obviously, you know, things that we're going to be including in 24 and ongoing. And so again, this is not a case of something we're getting and I'm not going to develop. We are very much aiming to develop and take this further. So let me just give you a quick demo of this. So this is a very basic little demo scene that Steve had, and I just wanted to show it to you guys. So you can see basically there it's pushing an object. So basically the fluid is instantly interacting with the objects, you know, easily. It's great. It's really fast. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to have that object as it comes down. I want to have this with more particles in. So I want to first of all adjust the particle size. Let's take that down to 0.06, and now we'll run that simulation again. Now that will actually change the flow of the liquid, because the liquid is dependent on that same flow in this particular scene's instance. So there's our particles, that's fine. So I want to change the ability of the squirt gun to sort of pump out a little bit more liquid. So over here we've got speed. So the little bottom box directly applies to what's highlighted in here, and likewise you'll see that if something isn't applicable, it turns off. So for instance, on the squirt gun, the body type is not applicable to the squirt gun, so it turns off. So it's pretty easy to sort of navigate. You just got to get your head around a few key things. So I'm going to up that to, let's up that to 400 initially. Actually, let's go 500. No, 400. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so let's just run that. So you can see we've got a much bigger, oops, sorry, ran out of particles, story of my life. 400. Now you can see everything. This is the preview mode. This is where you sort of test things out and just try things out and see how they're basically working. When you mesh things, it will change things a little bit, but normally it's pretty close and it just requires a little bit of adjustment. Okay, so we've done that. I'm happy with that. I don't want the water to start so early, so let's now adjust that. So on the speed of this, I'm going to adjust this to start at frame 50. So again, using bog standard Lightwave sort of setups. So we'll have the off frame at 49. So let's run that again. Oh, a little bit of preemptive squirt. I said that out loud? Yeah, I did. Yeah, okay, cool. There we go, far away. So there's our now hitting that for a little longer, which is good. So what I want to do now is I want to up the count of the particles coming out. Let's go to 3,000. And what I'm going to do at the same time is I'm now going to take the box and I'm going to relax the box. And I just need to work out what frame. So I'm going to run it again, just work out where roughly I want to relax it. So let's say about there. Yeah, okay, that should do it. So at frame 100, I'm going to change the stiffness. So you can see I've changed up to the object. I'm going to change the stiffness. Sorry?
Andy, do you want to just turn your video off just while
Yes,
you're doing the internet? It's a bit cruddy. Just turn your video off.
Just kill your video, your camera.
Where we see you, not your sharing screen. No, he's
And now we're not sure if he heard us or not.
I think we lost Andy.
Please hold.
Oh no.
Do you want to do some interpretive dance, Juice, just to entertain everyone?
Show my
Bring
bird. Meanwhile,
yes.
there, bird. Pay attention to the bird.
Look at the birdie. Look at the pretty birdie.
Look at the pretty bird. You can say pretty bird too. Well, sort of, kind of.
It's honestly, it's not Teams and it's not his PC. Andy has been having his area has been having internet problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pure. Andy lives out in the country, and I think they've just learned that hamsters running in a wheel doesn't run the internet very well.
I think we lost Andy completely, did we?
Yeah. Juice, was there anything you were going to demo today, or was it just this was the last one, then we're going to Q&A?
This was it, and then Q&A actually. We could go ahead and just start into the Q&A.
Let's start into the Q&A, and if Andy comes back, then we can just pause it and Andy can finish it. So if anyone's got any questions, shoot them in the chat box, or again raise your hand and we'll call you out. You can ask it in person if you like.
Oh yeah, this is just to stay with the more mature theme today. These kind of birds are called cockgut teals. Yeah. Okay. That's
Tim,
all
the
I have.
modelers, Tim, there was no modeler stuff leaked last time. If there's any more information that comes out, we will have to see to it. It was an early thing. It is not capable to be shown any further, so we will just leave it at that.
Coming in the next sneak peek, I think. In the next
Maybe.
one. Yeah. Chronoscope for Apple Silicon Juice. One of the questions.
Chronosculpt. We are still working towards it. It has proven to be a little bit of a spelunking. It is still on our list. We still want to have it for 4K monitors, as well as licensing with the same as Lightwave, and at the same time trying to bring it towards Apple Silicon and the M chips. So still there, still on the list, still on the dream. Still just needs more time to bake it out.
But it's one of the things on our sort of long-term plan, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Another long-term plan question is: will Python 3 be complete for Lightwave 24, or is it more into Lightwave 25?
I would feel more comfortable saying toward 25 myself.
Yeah. I suppose it's one of those things. It's not something we're not doing. It's just it's a long-term thing that takes a long time. It's one we're constantly working on it.
Right. And we are having to try to overcome, 4 years. So it's
yeah.
Again, it's still one of those things on our list, but
yeah, exactly. There's one for you, Elmar. Can you add a checkmark to the curves node to disable alpha acting as a multiplier so we can squeeze 4 channels out of it instead of 3? You're on mute, buddy.
I forwarded the request already. Hey, we got Andy back.
Andy's back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
That's all
don't
good.
worry,
We did a Q&A while you were rebooting
Yeah.
your.
No, that's okay. It's still good. Good. I did warn you it might happen. So
there was a question for you, Andy. Are you with what you're showing? Are you using a GPU or CPU for that?
A GPU. So that's done with. I've got an NVIDIA 3080 in this machine. Obviously, anything sort of 2080, 1080, probably even a 1080 would just be slower. But a 2080 or above would be great with it. 3080 or a 4080 or above would just be even better. So so obviously the more RAM that card has, the better it's going to be as well. So shall I continue where I was at?
Yes.
So just while I can, do you mind if I turn off my camera?
go do that.
So
do
this time it hasn't frozen, which is good. So let's go. Okay. All right, we're good.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Right. So you saw what I was doing. We were going to just do something with relaxing the stiffness of the box. What I've done here is just put an envelope in that basically at just before frame 90. I think I've got that frame 90. It's still at 1, and then basically at 120, it's at 0. Now that might need moving, but let's just run it. There we go. So, okay. All right. So basically what we've done there is basically run it and melted the object as well. So obviously very easy to do and very easy to set that up. If I want to have that regrow, let me just work out what the timing of that is. And then I'll put it back in. So basically this is blowing that backwards. And I'll show you a couple of variations of this in a second. So, you could have something hitting sugar or a sugar cube or whatever and have it melt or those sort of things. So frame, so let's go. at about, say, 200, we'll bring it back. So let's take that one, give it 1. Tension on those, put that at 0, and then run it again. And then basically it will redraw itself as soon as the water's finished, hopefully. There we go. There's our object. Okay, it's stopped below the ground. If I do that faster, actually it will bounce above the ground. It's partly because it's dropped a few particles below the surface of it. It's effectively not coming back quite fast enough and to get enough energy to pull itself free. So let's take that to 200 and see if that does it. It may not, but you get the idea of it. And I'll load up another scene in a second, one that I worked on yesterday, to show the same thing. So effectively, for things like putting a stream of water in, having it affect something, it's really, really great at that stuff. Does it, will still carry on. It's still a bit low. Let's just load up the one I worked on yesterday. So I've got a couple of variations of this I've done. I'll just quickly load these and show them to you. So let's just run this one. So this is the same as what I just demoed. I've been a little bit more elaborate on the animation of the water. There we go. And there's a cube again. So we can basically melt things, bring things back, have things come from a melted state back to a solid state, all of those sort of things. Another example of it, and I just wanted to show this one. So 2 more things to show. This was basically another variation of the same thing again, but basically having it melt straight away and just showing you the impact of the liquid on the particles. So, and actually, I'll show you how you mesh with this as well in a second. So obviously, this is just the preview system. The idea of this is for you just putting together your animation quickly and getting that to work. Oh, actually, I did the same one. Sorry, that was stupid. Let's finished. Sorry, there we go. Oh, didn't push one. So this is the same thing as before, but I just wanted you to see a little bit closer the impact of the water hitting the particles. So it's really dynamic, really easy to control, and obviously a shed load of particles there, pretty much updating in real time. It gives you a really good way of adjusting and being flexible with that stuff and so on. You can do bigger waters, so things like waterfalls and those sort of things you can do as well. So I've done one here that I've already set up, but just again to show you the basic core principle of a bigger amount of liquid. It handles that really well. This has got a shed load of particles. So let me just run this. And obviously I've still got this at particle size of 5, but you obviously could have that much smaller. So bear in mind, this is just the preview system. There we go, a stack of particles. Again, look at the speed of the updating of that. It's really fast. And bear in mind, it's also, obviously you get an indication of what the actual meshing is going to do. The meshing will stiffen it up a little bit, but you could adjust that and relax it. So there is a slight difference between the preview and doing it via the baking with the meshing. But this is the kind of speed the meshing is going to have. So let me just show you that. I won't do all of it because it's going to take too long, but the meshing will take longer. So that is a case of go away, have a cup of tea, come back, and then see what the end result is. But it works pretty well, and again you can see it's a pretty hefty mesh, it's creating. And again, that will pour that out and so on. I'm not going to bother going through that. I'll show you a little, just very quickly, a little animation of that so in a second. And then I'll show you basically, whoops, sorry, put that back on preview. I'll show you also, just so you can see the speed of it. That's the speed with that amount of particles and at that sort of level. If I take the particle size smaller, it will get progressively slower. So obviously for your preview system, you'll get a better indication of what it's going to look like, but you'll also, it will take longer to preview and so on. So again, I could also up the quantity of steps. And by the way, going higher doesn't necessarily always make it better, but just wanted to show you that obviously you can up that accuracy as well. There is a point where on some of the simulations, it's actually better to have a lower number, certainly on the sub steps, but you immediately can see the level of detail it's calculating there is significantly higher. So again, you know, works great and fast. Bear in mind, it's the preview system. So when you actually mesh this, it won't necessarily, I mean, it's a little bit cutting through the side of the model. It won't do that when you're meshing it. But again, you can see it's handling a massive amount of polys in a very, very quick time, even though that's much higher than I would have it set for doing my previews. Okay, so let me just reset that and just quickly show you a little preview of that. So this is one I rendered overnight. It's exactly the same as you just saw there. You know, easy to put together, very interactive, very quick. Obviously, there's things on there we're gonna be able to take a lot further over the next year, you know, 2 years, couple of years or whatever. But it's an amazing, absolutely an amazing, fun program, I think, to play with. And whether it be, you know, you're putting water out of a tap or you want to fill a glass, all of those things it will do great. You might want to put a big chunk of water coming down, you know, stairs and knocking things over. Likewise, you might just want to be doing stuff whereby you're melting things. It could be ice cream. You're dropping ice cream into a bowl and then having it melt, or, you know, it's fantastic for that kind of stuff and does an exceptionally good job and super fast. And once again, of course, that's in the Lightwave interface as standard. So anyway, that's the first build of it. So that's where we've got it to currently. And obviously, hopefully we'll get that going, you know, to an even better place by release, and then ongoing past that. Bear in mind, we are adding some other tools in as well. There is another part of this, which is adding a general physics engine. We'll talk about that later, probably next week. I don't know whether we'll have it by then, but we'll hopefully chat that through at that point. But all I can say is that I got it 2 days ago, have never used it before, very much like the IK system, you know, rig it. And, you know, they're very easy to learn, very easy to start having fun with and trying things out with. And actually on a commercial basis, there are some very, very good things you'll be able to do with it at a full-on production level. And again, it's very, very easy to use. That's it. I think that's enough of that. Hopefully that's you've enjoyed what you've seen. Let me just get this back up to full screen, stop sharing. There we go. Sorry about the interrupt, obviously in the middle, but hopefully you liked it. I know some of you joined late and only saw the last bit of that, but that's what was up, but obviously we've updated that a little bit. And obviously I think we're going to change the name to Flow. I think that's the general consensus. Yeah. Everybody seems to like that at the moment. So that's probably what we're going to call it. Probably LW Flow.
Andy, someone said LW Squirt, maybe.
LW squirt would be good. Well, I mean, obviously that was particularly appropriate to the types of animation I've been doing recently. but yeah, I mean, again, actually, squirt's a good name. Actually, I like that. So
No, Andy, that was a joke.
I mean, it obviously does more than just squirt. But I just wanted to show you how interactive it was and how much fun it was, because a lot of the creative process when you're animating, is having real-time feedback, having good interactivity, and you've got that both with turbulence, you've got it with Rigit, you've got it with the Lightwave animation interface in general, and obviously you've now got that with Flow, and obviously there's a couple other things we're going to be adding which have a similar instant dynamic feedback. Even things like we're adding the tendril, you draw it in real time. It's real time, instant feedback. You'll be able to watch it grow straight away. The lightning, again, same thing. As you adjust it, it's real time. It's fun, and it's all within the same interface. You're not having to go out to a third-party package to do the flames, the water, the whatever. You're not having to go to Modeler to do the rigging anymore. Your weight painting, all of that's done within the main interface, and all of them work together. And the funny thing is, I think we did a great upgrade when we did the 2023, when I thought, blimey, it's going to be a little bit hard to sort of top that when we did the 24. But actually, I think this is okay. It hasn't got the 500 plugins that we've added, but the things we're adding in there are amazing, and there's still some more things to come yet, which we haven't yet announced, which I think are going to be amazing additions. And of course, that doesn't take into account also other things, which of course we mentioned right back at the beginning, like the ability to draw on the screen, put notes on the screen, do things like the bits of this, on the it's not the cell shading, but the outer line drawing, and things of that nature we're working on. All of it is very, very easy to use, and should make your lives much more interesting. Anyway, that's me rabbiting on enough. Should we answer some questions?
Well, we have been in the chat as things have been moving down.
Any things we could sort of talk about? Sort of any questions on the on Flow or Squirt?
One question: will it have the ability to work with texture maps or weight maps?
Yeah, you can fully texture map anything that you put in there exactly the same way you would normally. So the representation of that of the object coming in is just basically, that was just basically the preview mode. But if you've textured something up, it would work in exactly the same way. So you can texture something, and I mean, what that will look like when you melt it, you might need to work it a little bit, but it will definitely work. As far as the weight painting goes, for this, actually, I don't think we've implemented something to make that work, but I'm pretty certain we could. We could probably implement some weighting methodology for things like when you're melting, or want the rubberiness to be more applicable in one part than another. But that's not implemented now, but that's a really good idea, actually. And so, I mean, one of us will take a note of that, and I think that will be something we'll definitely look at. Remember, the idea of Flow is to be fast, quick, easy to use, anybody can use it, and simple. It isn't a replacement for something like RealFlow or Houdini's particle system. It is meant to be, I suppose it's our equivalent of what are the flip fluids, fast fluid system. It's our equivalent of that, but again, built into Lightwave. You're not having to buy a third-party plugin. It isn't the answer to all fluid needs, but it is, an amazing, what it does it really well. So.
Next question is, someone says they are curious about floating objects with less density than water with this.
Well, funny enough, it definitely does that. So If you obviously, I haven't played with that yet on this particular build, but it was one of the standard features that you've got a density when you actually select your object. I should have shown you that, but there is a density, and also you can adjust that density and things will float. So you can have if you have a rubber duck and you put water in a bowl, the rubber duck will float. So yeah, absolutely, it will do that.
Perfect.
Actually, just one other thing to mention. Obviously, it's not a big ocean generator, so putting a boat on an ocean wouldn't necessarily be so good at doing that because of obviously the scale. It's not designed for that. But I mean, technically, if we optimized it a lot longer term and we could sort of get more things happening with it, yes, you would be able to float anything on that water. It's just a question of what would how many particles you'd have to do to get that to work. But certainly a bowl of water and those sort of things, definitely. Ice cubes in a glass, you just wouldn't have the same amount of density as you would a rubber duck, but yes, that would definitely work.
Another question: does it accept bones before calculation, like the sea character in Moana?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. Again, it's about fast calculations. It's about simplified calculations, and so it's looking at the object, and it will. So let's say I had the sugar cube I animated last week. It would see the body, and it would be able to float the body, but you'd have to then animate the arms and legs accordingly. After you've done your bake, basically. So you would do the raw calculation with the body, and then your character's floating on the water, and then you'd basically animate your rig after that, but after you've done the meshing stage. But as far as the bones actually interacting with it, no. Actually, I suppose the other question is if you had the arms weighted. Sorry, Juice.
Yeah, I was just thinking, if we're talking about how to do the water creature in Moana, and I'm thinking that what we're talking about is when the ocean forms the pseudopods. Myself, I would approach that as I would have a mesh that would have a deformation on it, giving the ripple, giving the feel, giving the texture. That is what I would control with bones, but then I might make that mesh an emitter so that I could have water falling off of it, so that not necessarily that I'm using the bones on a flow control itself, but on an item that is emitting flow particles. That's the way I would approach it.
Yeah, I mean, it also is recognizing the geometry. So, and it's doing that on a frame by frame calculation. So I'd imagine if let's say you were splashing your arms down with IK, using Rigit, and you were splashing the arms down, it should recognize that. I'd like to probably give that a go.
The mesh of the character would be the collision toward the the fluid that's being controlled by flow. I'm going to start calling it flow so I get used to it.
Yeah, me too. I've now got squirt in my head. I need to get squirt out of my head. No, anyway. But yes, I think that's right. I think we'd be able to do things like the character animation. The mesh would interact with the flow liquid.
Yes.
So yeah. So
I did see one person make mention of the Hot Ocean Toolkit. I know that that's freely available, and I know it's been updated, and I know that we have in fact talked about how to make that particular thing into a node or into a something that we could more integrate. I just don't know a timing on it, so I would say that definitely the Hot Ocean Toolkit is on our radar. We've all used it. We all know what it is. We all know what it's capable of and its uses. And we love it, but it's just a matter of, how we can get a hold of it, how we can get updated, because I know it has been updated, I think, here recently.
Yeah, it has. I mean, the code is open source. It comes from a Houdini originally, and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, we even thought about putting it in the store so everybody could access it easily, and I think that certainly is something we'll be able to do. But I do agree, if we could do something like get it put into a specific node, it would be much more functional for everybody. And it's yeah, we will look into it. So and it had literally, by the way, it's been talked about multiple times in the
Oh
last
yeah.
year. It's just, we've got a list, a
Yes.
huge list of things like that, and sometimes you can't get it all done at once, but it is definitely on the radar. Yeah.
Elmar keeps saying no. He just keeps saying nope, not gonna
Yeah,
do it.
yeah, it's Elmar's fault. No, yeah, it's yeah. You see, look, no, yes, no. Okay, next question.
I do see there the export options, VDB, Alembic. It might be a little early to discuss or to see, as we are still working on a 1.0. It's not going to have everything everything that everybody wants at the first release, but we can certainly try. But just know that those are things that we think about. VDB, Alembic, how to export, how to bake, how to do everything that we all want to do with it. It's not lost on us.
No. I mean, I suppose that's one of the advantages of all of us animate. So it's kind of we want what you want. Generally speaking, I would say that's certainly the case. And
Tim, when I said 1.0, I meant our 1.0.
Our 1.0, yeah. It isn't 1.0, yeah. No, it's actually another thing to mention on that. Just bear in mind, this is not the same as the last release, because it has been updated. We've updated the CUDA part of it. We're updating the OpenVDB part of it. There's quite a bit that Lightwave has, which is significantly better today than when the last version of that was created. And those libraries and all of those things have been updated and are being updated as we talk. So this was just the first version of it, for the current Lightwave. And we are really happy with it. And I've got to say, the speed of the preview is fantastic. And we know we're going to be able to do things, improve this a lot more. But it's fantastic on a modern machine. It's lovely. Steve did a fantastic job, by the way. And often you look at stuff and you think, oh God, why was that done that way, or whatever. But Steve actually has done a fantastic job with this, and it's a testament to his original code that it's been very easy for us to get this in and update it, and everything just worked, and it's wonderful. So yeah, and bear in mind, I've only been playing with it for 2 days, never used it before. So it is the kind of thing I think you're gonna have some real fun with. And obviously we'll have preset scenes for that to sort of kickstart you when you get it. So
just reading the comments to see if there's anything else, Andy. So we've pretty much answered everything that's come out. Someone did ask, is there an accidental showing of something that's coming? Those are purely accidental.
Can I just say, at the very beginning of this, I said to Juice, shit, we forgot something, right? And it was the accidental I slip up and show you something, because we've been so wrapped up this week on getting flow going. We focused on that, and so unlike my usual accidental leak, this week,
right, accidental wink yeah.
Yeah, this week I really don't have anything. So I mean, the irony is we do know what we're going to show you potentially next week, but
right.
but
it's not ready to even sneak.
But it's not ready yet to leak it.
Right.
So, but there's definitely yeah. I mean, we are terrible, aren't we? Really. I mean, yeah, I promise you next week there'll be something that we should have leaked this week to show you. So it's yeah, but there's no accidental leak this week. Damn it. Yeah, much to my disappointment.
One of the questions is on Rigit as well, as with the face setup tools that Craig had done. So we are still chatting to Craig about a few different things, and one of the bits as well with Craig is we're getting all of his tutorials and videos that he did. We will get them brought over and added onto the Lightwave YouTube channel, so those will all be available soon as well. But no news yet on anything else from.
No, I mean, just to fully understand, Craig's had a rigging system for the face that is potentially amazing, but it wasn't finished, and I think Craig got it to a point and then basically just didn't get it any further. And so there is an element of, if we can get it, we will. There's a couple of alternatives we are looking at, and there's a system. Hope we might be able to show this. I'm not sure it'll be next week or the week after, but there is a sort of re-topology sort of remeshing tool that we've got coming from Steve that enables you to adjust. But it's particularly good with faces and things. But it isn't the same thing as a full animation system. But there is another system we're looking at, which is really good at controlling faces as well. So that won't be available certainly for 2024, but it is definitely on our radar to sort something out for it. So in an ideal world, we want to make sure whichever path we go, it has to be world class. So I said it 2 weeks ago before the Juice Bank holiday weekend, as we now call it, before that the national holiday that is Juicedom. We basically were talking about part of the reason why we went down the Rigit route was it was so good, so easy to use, and so fast, and it enabled you to do multiple characters on screen at the same time, and it was just a beautiful thing to use. And there were many things in there that put it way ahead, I think, of other systems I've used. And even not Softimage, even a few things. Actually, I won't say the name of the software. One of the biggest pieces of software out there today had taken a few things and copied it from Rigit, and it was kind of when we saw what was planned for the updates and what he intended to do when he polished it over the last year to get it to us, it was a no-brainer. Everything we're choosing is with minds to how can we take it further long term, what can we do with it, is it world class, is it top notch at what it does, and that's why we've got it. And remember, part of the reason with the flow program is that it does what it does particularly well, small scale fluids, and also the melting, those sort of things particularly well. It doesn't do everything we want to do long term. There are other things we might need to add on to do bigger fluids or to do certain kinds of things. But what it does exceptionally well, and it's very, very fast at doing it. And I think we said this right back at the beginning. Everything we want to do is getting Lightwave back to being fast, quick, easy to use, everything to be functionally great. And by the way, that's exactly what we're now trying to go back and do with the geo nodes. It is exactly the same thing. It's find methods now to make that actually really easy to use, which it's a bugbear, by the way, across all systems. Everybody has an issue with learning geonodes. They're complex, they're difficult things to understand, and we think we've cracked how to make that simpler for you. And so that's going to be the starting of that's going to be in this 24. Sorry, I've digressed a bit, but yeah.
See, I told you we could fill that hour.
Disclaimer: these are forward-looking statements. These are not.
Yeah. Well, I see.
Yeah, just saying. Like,
No,
Yeah.
I agree. I
I
agree.
need to slow Andy down a little bit. You know, it's like I'm always the party pooper. And
No,
I
no,
always say,
no, no.
he's like,
You're
"Oh, we
doing the
never
right
have
thing.
this. We need to
The
have
trouble is,
this." And I'm
I,
like,
yeah, I know what we're doing. So, but it's, yeah, it is difficult. Yeah. So, oh, someone's actually just admitted coming in. They've missed the whole thing. They're 1 hour late.
They were here from the beginning. They just
Oh,
dropped
thank God.
But yeah.
Okay.
A couple quick questions before we finish up. So, what about additional UI updates other than the preference panel already shown?
Okay, so this goes back to an earlier thing. There are a couple of things we've got to do to update before we can start really doing some structural things to Lightwave. So if we do a veneer today, if we do any interface things today,
you'll never find out the answer.
Wow, that is so awesome. They could not have planned that better.
Yeah. Right, thanks everybody. See you next week. Goodbye.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome.
Andy.
That is.
Yeah. So meanwhile, I'll ask a question. Somebody asked whether Eno-san is around, and yes, he's very much around. He did the weight brush we showed last time. That was last time, right? We showed the weight brush, and he's working on a few other really cool things for us. So, and we're very happy to be working with him. He's a fantastic developer, and yeah, like legendary. So, yeah.
Andy, you are muted.
Yeah, you're on mute. You want to finish your answer?
I'm so sorry. My apologies. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So let's take for example.
Seriously, I keep thinking it's a joke, but it's not.
I think the answer Andy is trying to say is, to question is, yes, we are looking at additional UI updates, but because of just a lot of the other sort of more structural things in the background that we've got to work on, it's one of those things that will come with time, and there'll be more and more that we do on it. And we are looking at it quite heavily. And someone asked earlier as well if we're going to be doing more interface stuff for people, say, for instance, with color blindness or just different ways of showing what the UI looks like. The answer is yes, it's coming. It's not necessarily something that's being worked on right now or be released straight away, but you will see those things coming. So we want to do a bit of an update on that. Probably one more for you, Juice. Will there be any tutorials on YouTube for Lightwave 2024?
Oh, absolutely. We're planning, as I had made mention earlier in the chat, we have actually formed a small little team that's doing nothing but presets, sample scenes, and things of this nature. And part of that team are the folk who would either procure or make tutorials to go onto YouTube. And absolutely, that is in the plans, and that's totally in the work.
Yeah, I kind of answered your question, Andy, because I think the internet.
No, I heard you covered it. I mean, I suppose just to end on that, it's absolutely. We will be updating the interface gradually. By the way, again, what we will not do is do a massive sea change. We'll do things gradually. We'll do things organically, and we'll do things so that it works for everybody. If you change too much, it's then too much to learn, and actually, we'll get that right. We have a plan for it. We've just got a lot to do under the hood first, but we're getting there with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now I'm just getting past all the Andy comments of where is Andy, where does he live?
He lives in a cave with no internet.
Yeah, I live in the middle of the countryside, and I have only a 70 meg line, and when it's bad, it's really bad. So I came from living in London where I had a 2 terabyte line.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much all the questions, apart from lots of comments about Almar's parrot, which is good.
I love that. Oh dear.
I think that's where we can probably wrap it up, Andy. That's the hour anyway done. So
No, we're good. So we'll be here next week. I can't guarantee my my internet will be any better. I'm trying, but yeah, we'll see. Oh dear, I need to get a hard wire out to the office. That's basically what I need to do.
And this video will be up on YouTube soon as well. So anyone who sort of joined halfway through or towards the end, it's all going to be up there, so you can rewatch it later.
Yeah, and I'm sorry about the dropouts. I really apologize.
No, it added great comedy. I mean, if we're not going to do a sneak, you know, I think we do some creative freezes. I think we've got our new.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But that's it.
All right, guys. I hope you liked what you saw, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. All right.
I will real quick. I'm gonna make a comment here because I get it often. Linux. I will say Linux is on our list, but it is not high on the list. It's something we will progress to organically. There you go.
Yeah. Good answer. All right,
guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good rest of the weekend.